You ever feel like you're standing on the edge of something massive? Something that could swallow you whole if you take one wrong step? That's how I felt last summer, driving down the endless highways of the East Coast with my best friend Jimmy. The air was thick with salt and anticipation, the kind that clings to your skin when you know you're about to dive into a night that could change everything. Jimmy wasn't just a friend. He was a force, a whirlwind of ambition who'd carved out a name for himself in the pulsing heart of the dance music scene. New Jersey, New York, the whole damn East Coast knew his name, and I was lucky enough to be along for the ride. Let me paint you a picture of Jimmy. He's the kind of guy who walks into a room and owns it, not because he's loud or flashy, but because he's got this quiet intensity that makes you want to listen. 2 years ago, he was just another dreamer with a laptop and a vision. Now, he's running a company that throws events at the kind of venues you see in magazines. Glossy, exclusive clubs where the lights never stop flashing and the bass rattles your bones. His team books DJs so big, you'd recognize their names, even if you've never set foot in a club. I'm not deep in that world myself, but I know enough to be impressed. Names like Skrillex or Diplo wouldn't surprise me if they showed up on his roster. We go way back, Jimmy and I. 20 years of friendship, from scraped knees on playgrounds to late-night talks about what we'd do with our lives. He's the brother I never had, the one who'd give you the shirt off his back and then laugh about it. That's why, when he invited me to his biggest event, yet a 4th of July weekend blowout on the Jersey Shore, I didn't even hesitate. Feel that pull, that urge to chase the night. It was in my blood, and Jimmy knew it. The event was set to be legendary. A high-profile club right on the boardwalk, waves crashing just beyond the walls, and a crowd ready to lose themselves in the music. Jimmy's team had been planning it for months, and the buzz was electric. Our mutual friends from back home were all coming a reunion of sorts, and Jimmy made sure we'd have the VIP treatment, free drinks, access to the talent, the whole deal. I should have told him more often how much that meant, but I was too caught up in the moment to think about gratitude. That morning, as the sun burned bright over our small hometown, I packed a bag and waited for Jimmy to swing by. The air was heavy with summer heat, the kind that makes your shirt stick to your back. When his car pulled up a sleek black SUV that screamed, "I've made it," I could already feel the night stretching out before us, full of possibilities. Ryan, another friend from way back, was in the passenger seat, grinning like a kid on Christmas. The three of us were a unit, bound by years of shared history and unspoken loyalty. "Ready for the best weekend of your life?" Jimmy asked, his eyes glinting with mischief. I laughed, tossing my bag in the back. "You say that? Every time. This time's different," he said. And there was something in his voice, a weight I didn't catch until much later. The drive to the Jersey Shore was an hour and a half, but it felt shorter with Jimmy's stories filling the car. He talked about the DJ they'd booked, some guy who'd just played Tomorrowland, and the logistics of pulling off an event this big. Ryan and I mostly listened, throwing in the occasional jab about Jimmy's ego getting too big for his head. The highway stretched out before us, flanked by endless pines and the occasional glimpse of the ocean. Close your eyes for a second and picture it, the road unspooling like a ribbon, the promise of the night pulling you forward. By the time we hit the shore, the sun was dipping low, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The venue loomed ahead, a sprawling club with glass walls that reflected the fading light. It was the kind of place where dreams and nightmares collide, though I didn't know it yet. Jimmy parked, and we stepped out into the chaos of setup. Roadies hauled equipment, staff barked orders, and the air buzzed with the kind of energy that makes your skin tingle. Jimmy clapped me on the shoulder. "You and Ryan hang tight. I've got work to do, but tonight's gonna be unreal." I nodded, already feeling the pull of the night. Step into it. Let it consume you. The Jersey Shore was alive, and I was ready to dive in head first. But somewhere deep in my gut, there was a flicker of unease, a warning I ignored. What's the last time you felt truly free? Like the world was yours to conquer. For me, it was that drive down to the Jersey Shore. The windows rolled down, the salty breeze tangling my hair. The 4th of July weekend was more than a holiday. It was a state of mind, a chance to shed the weight of everyday life and become someone else, even if just for a night. Jimmy's event was the centerpiece, but the journey there with Ryan's laughter and Jimmy's endless stories was its own kind of magic. We piled into Jimmy's SUV, the leather seats still warm from the sun. Ryan was in the front, fiddling with the radio, until he landed on some throwback hip-hop that had us all nodding along. Jimmy drove with one hand on the wheel, the other gesturing wildly, as he described the chaos of booking a last-minute replacement DJ. "This guy's a legend," he said, his voice brimming with pride. "You'll see tonight. It's gonna blow your mind." Ryan smirked. "You keep saying that, man. Better not be overselling it." Jimmy shot him a look, but his grin didn't falter. "Trust me, Rye. This is the one." I leaned back, letting their banter wash over me. The highway hummed beneath us, a steady rhythm that matched the beat of my pulse. Outside, the world was a blur of green and gold pine forests, giving way to marshlands then the first glimpses of the Atlantic. The air smelled of salt and freedom, and for a moment, I let myself believe nothing could touch us. Feel that moment, hold it tight, because it's fleeting. We stopped once at a gas station, just off the exit for the shore. The place was a relic, faded signs, a single pump, and a cashier who looked like he'd seen too many summers. Ryan grabbed a pack of gum and tossed me a bottle of water. "Hydrate, man," he said. "Jimmy's gonna run us ragged tonight." I caught the bottle, laughing. "You're one to talk. You'll be 3 beers deep before the first set." He shrugged, unbothered. "It's the 4th. Gotta do it right." Back on the road, the conversation turned to old times. Nights we'd snuck out to crash house parties, the summer we'd tried to start a band and failed spectacularly. Jimmy was the dreamer even back then, always scheming, always chasing something bigger. Ryan and I were his anchors, the ones who kept him grounded, but never held him back. That's how it worked with us. We were family, not by blood, but by choice. As we got closer to the shore, the landscape changed. Strip malls and diners gave way to boardwalks and beach houses, their pastel facades glowing in the late afternoon light. The venue was impossible to miss, a sleek, modern monstrosity of glass and steel, perched right on the edge of the ocean. It looked like it belonged in Miami, not New Jersey. But that was Jimmy's style. Bold, unexpected, larger than life. We pulled into the lot, and the energy shifted. Jimmy was all business now, barking orders into his phone as he climbed out of the car. "You guys good?" he asked already, halfway to the entrance. "Yeah, we're golden," Ryan called after him. I watched Jimmy disappear into the venue, a knot of pride and envy tightening in my chest. He'd built something real, something that mattered. And here I was, still drifting, still figuring out who I was supposed to be. Look at the life around you. What's holding you back? Ryan nudged me. "Come on, man. Let's find the bar," I grinned, shaking off the introspection. The night was young, and the Jersey Shore was calling. But as we stepped toward the venue, the ocean stretching vast and dark beyond it, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were walking into something we weren't prepared for. Have you ever been so lost in a moment that the world around you just fades? That's what it felt like inside that Jersey Shore club. The music pounding through my veins, the lights blurring into streaks of color. Ryan and I had no business being there. Not really, but Jimmy's generosity meant we were sipping free drinks in the VIP section, surrounded by people who lived for nights like this. The 4th of July was an excuse to let go, and we were all too happy to oblige. The club was a sensory overload, a cathedral of sound and light. The DJ's bass lines hit like earthquakes shaking the floor beneath our feet. Bodies pressed together on the dance floor, a sea of sweat and sequins, while the bartenders slung drinks with the precision of surgeons. Ryan and I posted up at the bar, a bottle of vodka between us, courtesy of the venue. Jimmy's team had carte blanche, and we were riding their coattails. "To freedom," Ryan said, raising his glass. "To Jimmy," I countered, clinking mine against his. The first drink burned, but the second went down smooth. By the third, the edges of the world were soft, and by the fourth, we were invincible. Feel that rush, that reckless abandon. The 4th of July was about excess, about pushing limits, and we were leaning into it hard. Ryan was in his element, charming a group of girls nearby with his easy grin and quick wit. I wasn't far behind, trading jokes and stories with anyone who'd listen. The alcohol loosened my tongue, made me bolder than I'd ever be sober. We weren't kids anymore, but that night we felt like we could live forever. Hours bled together, marked only by the changing DJs and the rising tide of our drunkenness. I don't know how many drinks we had, too many to count, not enough to care. The club was a fever dream, all heat and motion, and we were its willing captives. At some point, Ryan leaned over his eyes, glassy but sharp. "We're killing it, man," he said, his voice barely audible over the music. I laughed, the sound swallowed by the bass. "Yeah, we are." But even in that haze, there was a flicker of something else, a warning I couldn't quite grasp. The club was too loud, too bright, and we were too far gone to notice the shadows creeping in. Stop for a second. Look around. What's watching you? The event was winding down, the crowd thinning, as the night tipped toward morning. Jimmy had secured us beds at a nearby Airbnb, so getting home wasn't a concern. But the night wasn't over. Not yet. Ryan and I stumbled toward the bar, our steps unsteady, but our spirits high. That's when we saw them, Gianna and Marcella, two women who seemed to step out of a dream, their presence cutting through the chaos like a blade. Ever meet someone who feels too perfect, like they're hiding something just out of sight? That's what hit me when I saw Gianna and Marcella standing at the bar, like they owned the place. The club was a mess of bodies and noise, but they were calm, almost untouchable, their eyes scanning the crowd with a purpose I didn't understand. Ryan and I were drunk, sure, but we weren't blind. These women were magnetic, and we were drawn to them, like moths to a flame. Gianna was tall, her dark hair cascading over her shoulders, her dress clinging to her like a second skin. Marcella was shorter, her blonde curls catching the strobe lights, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. They weren't just beautiful. They were deliberate, every gesture calculated, every word laced with intent. Look at them. Really look. What do you see? Ryan made the first move, leaning in with a line that would have sounded cheesy sober, but worked like a charm in the haze of the club. You ladies look like you know how to have a good time, he said, his grin infectious. Marcella laughed, a sound that was both warm and chilling. Oh, we do. Question is, can you keep up? I jumped in, emboldened by the vodka and the night. We're game. What's your story? They introduced themselves. Gianna and Marcella, names that rolled off their tongues like they'd practiced it. They were vague about where they were from, tossing out mentions of the city and traveling a lot. But their clothes screamed money, designer, labels, diamonds glinting at their wrists. They weren't locals, that much was clear, but they fit into the Jersey Shore scene like they'd been born for it. We talked, or at least we tried. The music was a wall of sound, forcing us to lean close, our words brushing against ears and skin. Gianna's perfume was sharp, like jasmine and steel, and it lingered in my nose long after she pulled away. Marcella was the bolder one, her hand grazing Ryan's arm as she laughed at his jokes. They were good at this, too. Good, maybe. It was Marcella who suggested we leave. This place is fun, but it's dying down, she said, her eyes locking onto mine. Why don't we take the party somewhere else? Ryan didn't hesitate. Hell yeah. Where to? Gianna handed us each a drink, her smile soft but insistent. Drink up first. You've gotta catch up to us. I took the glass, the liquid cold against my palm. It was a strange moment. Girls buying guys drinks wasn't the norm, but these two weren't normal. The alcohol hit my lips sharp and bitter, and I downed it in one go. Ryan did the same, his eyes never leaving Marcella. Feel that burn. Let it pull you under. We moved toward the exit, the four of us weaving through the thinning crowd. The air outside was a shock cool and salty, the ocean roaring just beyond the boardwalk. Marcella led the way, her heels clicking against the pavement. My place, she said, glancing back. It's right on the beach. Way better than some Airbnb. I raised an eyebrow, surprised. Guys usually hosted in situations like this. But Gianna nodded, her expression unreadable. Trust me, you'll love it. Ryan shrugged. Already sold. I followed the alcohol, dulling my instincts. The night was ours, or so I thought. But as we walked, the world began to tilt, and the first threads of doubt wove themselves into my mind. The moment you realize something's wrong, it's already too late. That's what I should have felt as we walked along the Jersey Shore boardwalk, the ocean, a dark, endless void to our right. Gianna and Marcella led the way, their voices bright but distant, like they were performing for us. Ryan was all in, laughing too loud, his arm slung around Marcella's waist. I tried to keep up, but my body was betraying me, each step heavier than the last. The boardwalk was alive with the remnants of the fourth stragglers, stumbling out of bars, couples tangled in the shadows, the air thick with salt and cigarette smoke. The girls talked their words, weaving a spell. Gianna spoke about art, her voice sharp and precise, like she'd studied it in some Ivy League classroom. Marcella tossed out stories of wild nights in cities I'd never visited, her laughter cutting through the night like a blade. They were art, too smart, maybe. I wanted to match them, to prove I wasn't just some drunk idiot from the suburbs. But my tongue felt thick, my thoughts sluggish. Focus, stay sharp. Something's not right. I shook my head, trying to clear the fog, but it only grew thicker. That's when it hit me. Not the drunkenness, I knew, but something else. My legs wobbled like they were made of paper, and my arms felt like they were sinking into quicksand. I glanced at Ryan, hoping he'd notice, but he was lost in Marcella's orbit, his eyes glassy and unfocused. The world tilted, and for a moment, I thought I'd collapse right there on the boardwalk, my body folding under its own weight. Everything okay? Gianna asked, her voice soft but piercing. She was close, too close, her hand brushing my arm. Yeah, I lied, forcing a smile. Just a lot of vodka. She laughed, but it didn't reach her eyes. You'll feel better once we're there. The beach house loomed ahead, a silhouette against the night sky. It was massive, all sharp angles and glass, the kind of place you'd see in a movie about billionaires. Marcella unlocked the gate, her movements fluid, practiced. Welcome to paradise, she said, and Ryan let out a low whistle. I wanted to feel impressed, but the unease was growing a cold knot in my gut. My vision blurred at the edges, and my hands tingled like they were falling asleep. Run. Get out now. But my body wouldn't listen, and the girls were already leading us inside the door, closing behind us with a soft, final thud. You ever step into a place and know you don't belong? That's what hit me when we crossed the threshold of Marcella's beach house. The air was cool, sterile, like a museum after hours. The living room, if you could call it that, was a study in excess marble floors, sculptures on pedestals, walls that seemed to glow with their own light. It was beautiful, but it felt wrong, like a stage set for something I couldn't yet see. Marcella kicked off her heels, her bare feet silent against the floor. Make yourselves at home, she said, her smile too wide, too perfect. Ryan flopped onto a couch, his grin sloppy. "This place is insane," I nodded. But my eyes were elsewhere, scanning the room for what clues, exits. The alcohol was a weight in my blood. But it wasn't just that. My limbs were heavy, my thoughts fragmented. Stay awake. Don't let go. Gianna sat beside me, her perfume overwhelming, her presence both comforting and oppressive. The room was a paradox, opulent but empty, like it had been designed to impress, but never lived in. The sculptures weren't just art. They were statements, cold and unyielding. I wanted to ask questions, to understand who these women were, but my mouth wouldn't cooperate. My tongue felt like lead. My words stuck somewhere deep inside. Marcella disappeared for a moment, returning with a tray of drinks. "One more round," she said, handing me a glass. I didn't want it, but her eyes held mine, and I drank anyway. The liquid was sharp metallic, and it burned all the way down. Ryan and Marcella were talking now, their voices a distant hum. I caught fragments, something about a trip to Ibiza, a club in Berlin, but it was all noise, meaningless. Gianna leaned closer, her breath warm against my ear. "You're quiet," she said. "Everything okay?" I nodded, but it was a lie. The room was spinning, the sculptures blurring into grotesque shapes. "Get up. Move. Do something." But my body was a traitor, sinking deeper into the couch. Then, without warning, Ryan and Marcella were gone. I didn't see them leave, didn't hear a door close. The house was a maze, and they'd vanished into it, leaving me alone with Gianna. She leaned in, her lips brushing my cheek, and I wanted to pull away, but I couldn't. Her face was the last thing I saw before the world went black. What's the worst way you've ever woken up? For me, it was in a tangle of bushes, the sun burning my eyes, my body aching like I'd been hit by a truck. The world was too bright, too loud, and I was wearing clothes that weren't mine. A stained t-shirt, jeans that didn't fit, shoes soaked through with no laces. My wallet, my phone, my keys, gone. All I had was my own skin, and even that felt wrong. I lay there for a moment, staring at the sky, trying to piece together where I was. The bushes were dense, scratching at my arms, and the air smelled of damp earth and something sour. There were no landmarks, no signs, just a stretch of road curving into trees. Breathe. Think. Where are you? My head pounded a relentless drumbeat, and my mouth tasted like metal and regret. Panic crept in, slow at first, then all at once. I didn't remember falling asleep. didn't remember leaving the beach house. The last thing I saw was Gianna's face, her lips curling into a smile that wasn't a smile. And now I was here, an hour from the shore, with no idea how I'd gotten there. I stood my legs shaking and checked my pockets, again hoping for something, anything, nothing. The clothes were foreign, the fabric rough against my skin. The shoes were mine, but they were ruined, the soles caked with mud. I didn't smell like the ocean or a pool, so where had I been? The road was empty, but across the way, a 7-Eleven glowed like a beacon. I stumbled toward it, my heart racing. The cashier, a middle-aged guy with tired eyes, barely looked up as I approached. "Can I use your phone?" I asked, my voice raw. "Mine's gone." He studied me, probably weighing whether I was trouble. Then he slid his phone across the counter. I dialed my sister, the only number I could remember. She picked up on the second ring, her voice a lifeline. "Where the hell are you?" she demanded. I tried to explain, but the words felt hollow. "How do you describe a night you don't remember?" She gave me Ryan's number, and I called, but it went to voicemail. What if he's out here, too? What if he's worse? The thought made my stomach lurch. I was about to call the police when Ryan walked in. His face pale, his clothes as foreign as mine. We stared at each other, two ghosts in a convenience store, and then we were hugging relief and fear crashing together. His story was the same blackout bushes, stolen belongings. We were mirrors of each other's nightmare. Ever feel like the truth is just out of reach, taunting you? That's what it was like, standing outside that 7-Eleven, Ryan and I piecing together a night that refused to make sense. The police arrived, 2 officers with skeptical eyes and notepads they barely used. We told them everything: the drinks, the beach house, the blackout, the bushes, but their questions turned sharp, accusing. "You sure you didn't just drink too much?" One asked, his tone dripping with doubt. I snapped my voice louder than I meant. We didn't walk an hour away drunk. They didn't like that, but they didn't argue. My sister tracked my phone through Find My iPhone, and to our shock, it was in a parking lot nearby. The officers drove us there, and sure enough, our phones were on the pavement, untouched. It should have been a relief, but it only deepened the mystery. The police were done with us. Their cards pressed into our hands with a half-hearted "call if you remember anything." Ryan and I were left in that lot, our phones charged, but useless. I scrolled through mine, and my blood ran cold. Texts I didn't send to Jimmy. My parents, even a girl I'd been talking to, normal, casual messages that made no sense. One said I was safe crashing at a friend's. Another thanked Jimmy for the night. Lies, all of them, written in my voice. Jimmy picked us up, his relief palpable. "I thought you guys were dead," he said, his voice shaking. We canceled our cards. None had been used. Another puzzle piece that didn't fit. The ride home was a blur of theories, each more outlandish than the last. Drugged. Sure, but why robbery? Then why leave our cards untouched? Kidnapping, organ harvesting. We checked for scars, half laughing, half terrified, but found nothing. Days later, Ryan and I went back to the shore, driven by a need for answers. We walked the boardwalk, retracing our steps until we found the beach house. It was as grand as I remembered, but colder, emptier. An older man answered the door, his face blank when I mentioned Marcella. "No one by that name here," he said, then laughed when I spun a story about a girl lying about the house. We left, but the unease stayed a weight in my chest. Something happened that night, something bigger than us. I don't know if Gianna and Marcella were part of a cult, a trafficking ring, or something worse. I don't know why they let us go. But I know this: the Jersey Shore holds secrets, and we barely escaped them. The moment you realize the darkness isn't empty, that it has a voice, a will, do you run or do you freeze? My name's Ariel, and I'm tearing down a desolate Alabama road, my 2012 Corolla shuddering under the strain, its headlights a frail defense against the night. My hands grip the wheel, slick with sweat, my breath ragged as I stare into the rearview mirror. Two headlights blaze behind me, too bright, too alive, belonging to a gray Nissan Altima that's been shadowing me for what feels like hours. But it's not just the car. It's the symbol etched into its windshield. Jagged lines glowing with a sickly light, pulsing like a heartbeat. I've seen that symbol before, not on glass, but carved into the wall above my bed 3 weeks ago. A mark that woke me from a nightmare I couldn't shake. Look at it. Feel its weight. It's calling you. The road is a black maw. Trees leaning in like sentinels, their branches scraping the sky. My Corolla's engine whines, the dashboard flickering as I push it past its limits. But the Ultima matches me, effortless. Its headlights, a constant accusation. I speed up, the needle climbing to 70, then 80, the tires humming against the asphalt. But the distance doesn't change, 6 car lengths, no more, no less. I slam on the brakes, the car lurching, hoping they'll pass. But the Ultima slows, too, its lights dimming, then flaring, a predator toying with its prey. It's not a driver. it's something else. The symbol pulses brighter now, its lines twisting into shapes, eyes, a mouth, a face that leers from the glass. My head throbs, a dull ache spreading behind my eyes, and the radio crackles to life, unprompted, a low hum that vibrates in my chest. You can't escape, a voice whispers, cold and clear, like it's inside my mind. I slap the power button, my fingers trembling, but the hum lingers, a chant that coils around my thoughts. The steering wheel feels warm, alive, like it's guiding me. And for a moment, the road ahead warps black asphalt, melting into a starry void, my headlights swallowed by nothing. I swerve, my tires screeching, and the road snaps back, solid but wrong, a mask over something deeper. 3 weeks ago, I woke to that symbol above my bed, carved into the plaster, glowing faintly in the pre-dawn light. It was 2 a.m., the air thick with Georgia humidity, and the room was silent, except for my ragged breathing. I reached out my fingers, brushing the mark, expecting it to flake away, but it was deep, permanent, like it had been there forever. The window was open, though I'd locked it, and a breeze carried a scent, rotting wood-damp earth that didn't belong. I checked the house, my heart pounding, but found nothing. No intruder, no explanation. I scrubbed at the symbol with a cloth, but it wouldn't budge, and by morning it was gone, leaving only a faint outline. I told myself it was a dream, a stress-induced hallucination, but the memory clawed at me, a warning I ignored. You saw it then? Why didn't you believe? Now, on this road, that symbol stares back, a taunt from the Ultima's windshield. The radio hums again, the voice sharper. You're mine. I scream, the sound tearing from my throat, and slam my fist against the dashboard, the plastic cracking. The headlights flare, filling my car with light, and for a split second, I see it, a shadow in the Ultima's driver's seat. Too tall, too thin, its head tilting as if listening. I blink, and it's gone. The lights dimming, but the symbol laughs, a sound that vibrates in my bones. My gas gauge drops the needle, sliding toward empty, and I realize I'm running out of time, out of options, out of sanity. I try to think, to anchor myself in something real. The 4th of July was supposed to be a break, a night, with Isabel in Alabama. But even then, the symbol was there, a shadow I couldn't name. I need to remember to trace the thread back to when this started, before the road became a cage. The Ultima's headlights pulse again, and the symbol shifts its lines, forming a hand reaching toward me. My vision blurs, my hands slipping on the wheel, and I fight to stay awake, to stay me. Hold on. Don't let it in. The night presses in the trees, closing tighter, their branches like fingers scraping the roof. The radio hums a chant now, words in a language I don't know, and the symbol glows brighter, pulling at my mind. I feel it, a tug, like something's trying to peel my thoughts apart, to replace them with its own. I bite my lip, tasting blood, and focus on the road, the white lines flickering under my tires. But the lines twist, curling into the symbol's shape, and I swerve again, my heart a drumbeat of terror. 3 days before the taint, I found a note slipped under my door, a single word scrawled in jagged script. Soon. The paper was old, brittle, smelling of damp earth, and when I touched it, the symbol flashed in my mind unbidden. I threw it out, called it a prank, but the memory lingers, a piece of the puzzle I didn't see. Now, with the Ultima behind me, that note feels like a promise, a countdown to this moment. It marked you. It's been waiting. The gaslight chimes a cruel reminder, and I check my phone. No signal, no escape. The Ultima's headlights flare again, and the shadow returns. Its head tilting its form, stretching beyond the car's frame. I scream, my voice breaking, and the symbol pulses a heartbeat that syncs with mine. The road stretches endlessly, a trap I can't outrun, and I wonder if this is how it ends, if the symbol, the voice, the shadow will claim me before I find a way out. Keep driving. You have to survive. I push the car harder, the engine gasping, the dashboard lights dimming. The Ultima's headlights follow relentless, and the symbol's glow fills my mirrors, my thoughts, my soul. I remember Isabel's voice, her warning at the cookout, and I cling to it, a lifeline in the dark. But the road twists again, the void returning, and I know this isn't just a chase. It's a game, and I'm losing. The radio laughs, the shadow watches, and the symbol waits its light, a promise of something I can't escape. Don't look back. Keep going. Have you ever stood in a crowd surrounded by laughter and felt a chill that no one else notices? Hours ago, I was at Isabel's cookout in a small Alabama town the 4th of July, wrapping us in a warm embrace, or so I thought. The backyard glowed with string lights, the air thick with the scent of barbecue and sweet tea, kids darting with sparklers that painted trails of gold against the dusk. Isabel, my college friend, moved through the crowd like a beacon, her smile pulling everyone into her orbit. We'd bonded over late-night study sessions, dreamed of lives beyond our small-town roots, and seeing her, now radiant with family and friends, felt like a victory we'd shared. But beneath that joy, a shadow lingered, a weight I couldn't name, a premonition that started long before I hit that cursed road. Feel it now. Let it sink in. The party was alive, a tapestry of voices and music. A speaker blared country tunes, the bass vibrating through the wooden deck, while fireworks cracked overhead, their colors reflecting in the wide eyes of children. I leaned against a picnic table, a cold beer in my hand, the condensation dripping down my fingers. The smell of grilled ribs and coleslaw mingled with the earthiness of the field, a scent that should have been comforting. Breathe it in. Hold that moment. But my skin prickled a sensation like 1,000 eyes watching from the shadows, and I couldn't shake it. Isabel caught my eye, her brow furrowing as she approached. "You look distracted, Ariel," she said, her voice warm but edged with concern. "Everything okay?" I forced a smile, the lie tasting bitter. "Just tired from the drive." "It's been a long day," she nodded, but her gaze lingered, searching. "Stay the night if you need to. It's late, and these back roads aren't safe after dark." Her words carried a weight, a warning I didn't understand then, and I brushed it off with a laugh. "I'll be fine. Work tomorrow." She hugged me, her arms steady, and whispered, "Be careful." A plea that echoed in my mind later, when the Ultima's headlights filled my world. The crowd swelled around us, friends swapping stories, kids chasing each other, with sparklers that fizzed and faded. I tried to lose myself in it, to let the laughter wash away the unease. But it clung to me, a damp cloth on my skin. I sipped my beer, the taste sharp and cold, and noticed a figure at the edge of the property near the tree line. He was tall, too thin, his silhouette blurred by the dusk, his face a void where light didn't touch. He didn't move, just stood there, watching, and when I blinked, he was gone, the space empty, as if he'd never been. He was there. You felt it. I shook my head, blaming the heat, the beer, my old fear of the dark that had haunted me since childhood. But the unease grew a splinter in my chest. I grabbed another drink from the cooler, and as I lifted the cup, I saw it, the symbol scratched into the plastic, glowing faintly when I tilted it toward the light. My breath caught, my hand trembling, and I dropped the cup, the liquid spilling into the grass. No one noticed the party, too loud, too alive, but I felt it a presence closer, now watching from within the crowd. 2 nights before the taint, I had a dream that woke me, soaked in sweat, my sheets twisted around me. I was on a road not unlike the one I'd drive tonight, the air thick with the scent of rotting wood. A car approached its headlights, glowing with that same jagged symbol, and a voice whispered, "You're chosen." The car stopped, the door opening to nothing, just darkness that reached for me. I woke, screaming. The symbol burned into my mind and checked my room. Nothing. No mark, no sign. I told myself it was stress, a mind unraveling under pressure, but the dream lingered a shadow I couldn't shake. It wasn't just a dream. It was a promise. Back at the cookout, I scanned the crowd again, my heart racing. The figure was back, standing by the gravel lot where my car waited. His shape darker now, more defined. I started toward him, my legs heavy, but he vanished, leaving only the crunch of gravel under my feet. I reached my Corolla, the paint cool under my hand, and froze. The symbol was there, scratched into the driver's side door, glowing faintly, like it had followed me from my dream. I wiped at it, my fingers shaking, but it wouldn't fade, and the air grew thick, the scent of rotting wood, overwhelming. It's here. It's been here. Isabel found me, her face pale. "Ariel, what's wrong?" I stammered, pointing at the symbol. But when she looked, it was gone, the door pristine. I thought I saw something," I said, my voice breaking. She hugged me, her warmth a contrast to the chill in my bones. "You're tired. Let me get you some water." I nodded, letting her lead me back, but the symbol lingered in my mind, a mark I couldn't erase. As the party wound down, the fireworks faded, and people drifted away, their tail lights vanishing down the road. I said my goodbyes, Isabel's hug lingering longer than usual. "Text me when you get home," she said, her eyes serious. "And drive safe." I promised, grabbed my keys, and headed to my car, the symbol's memory, a weight in my chest. The lot was empty, the night silent, but as I opened the door, I felt it, a gaze, not from the trees, but from within the car itself. I checked the seats, the dashboard. Nothing but the air was wrong, heavy with that rotting scent. Get in. Drive. Don't look back. I started the engine, the sound jarring in the stillness, and pulled onto the road. The party's glow faded in my rearview mirror, replaced by the vast, unyielding dark of Alabama's backroads. The symbol flashed in my mind, the dream's voice echoing, and I knew this night wouldn't end with laughter. Hours later, on that cursed road, the Ultima's headlights would find me. The symbol would return, and the hunt would begin. But here at the cookout, I was still blind, still unaware that the shadow had already marked me. You felt it coming. Why didn't you stop? The backyard grew quieter, the music softening, the kids' sparklers dying out. I stood by the table, my beer warm now, my thoughts a tangle of fear and denial. The figure appeared again closer, this time standing by the fence, his shape shifting, elongating. I stepped toward him, my pulse a drumbeat, but he dissolved into the dusk, leaving a faint glow where the symbol had been. I rubbed my eyes, my hands trembling, and turned back to the party, but the chill stayed a whisper in my ear. Isabel joined me again, her smile forced. You sure you're okay to drive? I have to, I said, my voice hollow. She pressed a water bottle into my hand, her touch lingering. Call me if anything feels off. Okay. I nodded, but the promise felt empty. As I walked to my car, the symbol's memory grew stronger, the dream's voice louder. I got in, locked the doors, and drove the night, pressing in the road ahead, a trap I didn't see. Keep moving. Don't let it catch you, but it already had. The symbol on my door, the figure in the lot, the dream's warning, they were pieces of a puzzle, a game I didn't know I was playing. The cookout was my last stand of normalcy, a moment of light before the darkness claimed me. The Ultima's headlights would come, the symbol would glow, and the hunt would unfold. But here under Isabel's string lights, I was still blind, still hoping the shadow was just my imagination. It wasn't. It never was. What's it like to feel your mind slip? Not from fear, but from something reaching inside to steer you. My name's Ariel, and I'm on a twisting Alabama road, my Corolla shuddering as I push it beyond its limits, the night a suffocating shroud around me. The gray Nissan Altima looms in my rearview mirror, its headlights a relentless glare, the jagged symbol on its windshield, pulsing with a light that burns into my skull. It's not just following, it's hunting its presence, a weight that bends the world. The radio crackles, unprompted, a voice whispering, "Turn back," and the steering wheel trembles under my hands, warm and alive, like it's trying to guide me off the road. I've felt this before, weeks ago, when a car like this appeared outside my apartment. Its symbol, glowing its silence, a threat. Listen to it. Let it take you. The road stretches endlessly, a black ribbon flanked by trees that lean too close, their branches scraping the roof like skeletal fingers. I accelerate the engine, whining, the needle climbing to 80. But the Ultima matches me, its headlights flaring brighter, then dimming a heartbeat that syncs with my own. I slow to a crawl, hoping to force it past, but it slows too, maintaining that maddening 6-car-length distance. The symbol twists its lines, forming eyes that stare, a mouth that smirks, and my head throbs, a pain that spreads like ink through my thoughts. It's in your mind. It's controlling you. The radio hums again. The voice clearer now, a chant in a language I don't know. Its rhythm pulling at my focus. I slap the power button, my fingers numb, but the sound persists, a vibration in my chest, my teeth. The steering wheel jerks, veering me toward the shoulder, and I fight it, my arms straining my breath, coming in gasps. The road ahead shimmers, the asphalt melting into a starry void, the white lines curling into the symbol's shape. I swerve my tires screeching, and the road snaps back solid, but wrong, a facade over something deeper, something alive. Don't trust your eyes. It's lying to you. 3 weeks ago, I saw a car like this parked across from my apartment in Georgia, under a flickering streetlight. It was gray, mud-caked, its windshield marked with that same symbol, glowing faintly in the dark. I watched from my window, my breath fogging the glass, as the driver's door opened and nothing emerged, just a void, a blackness that pulsed like a living thing. I blinked, and the car was gone. The street empty, but the symbol lingered in my mind, a scar I couldn't erase. I told Isabel about it, her voice on the phone, steady but worried. Maybe it's stress, she said, but I heard the doubt, the fear she wouldn't voice. It was there. You should have known. Now, on this road, the Ultima's presence is stronger. Its symbol, a beacon that pulls at my thoughts. The radio chants louder, the voice saying my name. Ariel, and I scream the sound tearing from my throat as I slam my fist against the dashboard, the plastic cracking. The headlights flare, filling my car with light, and the shadow returns too tall, too thin, its head tilting as if listening. I blink, and it's gone, but the symbol laughs, a sound that vibrates through the frame, through my bones. My gas gauge drops the needle, sliding toward empty, and I realize the car is draining me, my strength, my will. I try to focus, to anchor myself in something real. The 4th of July cookout with Isabel feels like a distant dream, but even there, the shadow began a presence I didn't recognize. The Ultima's headlights pulse, and the symbol shifts its lines, forming a hand reaching toward me, fingers curling as if to grasp my mind. My vision blurs, my hands slipping on the wheel, and I fight to stay awake, to stay me. Hold on. Don't let it win. The night presses in the trees, closing tighter, their branches like claws against the glass. The radio hums a melody, now familiar, yet wrong, like a song from my childhood, twisted into something sinister. The symbol glows brighter, and I feel it a tug at my thoughts, like fingers peeling back my memories, replacing them with its own. I bite my lip, tasting blood, and focus on the road, the white lines, the hum of the engine. But the lines twist again, forming the symbol's shape, and I swerve my heart a drumbeat of terror. 2 weeks before the taint, I was driving home from work, the Georgia dusk settling around me, when I saw it again. A gray car parked on a side street, its symbol glowing under a street light. The engine was off, but the headlights flickered, and I felt it a pull, a command to stop, to get out. I drove past, my hands shaking, but the symbol stayed in my mind, a whisper I couldn't silence. That night, I dreamed of a road like this one, the symbol chasing me. Its light, a cage I couldn't escape. I woke, drenched in sweat, the symbol carved into my bedroom wall, gone by morning, but etched into my soul. It marked you then. It's claiming you now. The Ultima's headlights flare again, and the shadow stretches its form, spilling beyond the car, a darkness that seeps into my mirrors. I scream, my voice breaking, and the symbol pulses a heartbeat that syncs with mine. The road warps again, the void returning, and I feel my mind slipping, my thoughts fragmenting. The radio chants my name, Ariel, Ariel, and the steering wheel jerks, pulling me toward the shoulder. I fight it, my arms burning, my vision tunneling, but the tug grows stronger, a force I can't resist. Keep fighting. You're not gone yet. I glance at the gas gauge. Empty now, the light a dull glow, and the engine sputters, the car slowing, despite my foot on the pedal. The Ultima closes the distance, its headlights filling my world, and the symbol's light burns a fire in my skull. I remember Isabel's warning, her hug at the cookout, and cling to it, a lifeline in the dark. But the shadow laughs its voice in my head, and the road stretches endlessly, a trap I can't escape. The symbol's hand reaches closer, its fingers brushing my thoughts, and I feel myself slipping, my identity eroding under its touch. Don't give up. Find a way out. The trees loom larger, their branches forming a tunnel. The symbols glow, reflecting off the bark. The radio hums a lullaby, now soothing yet deadly, and the shadow's form solidifies a silhouette in my peripheral vision. I turn my head, and it's there, in the passenger seat, eyeless, featureless, its presence a void that sucks the air from my lungs. I scream again, swerving, and it vanishes. But the symbol laughs its light a chain around my mind. The gas light dies, the engine cuts out, and the Ultima's headlights are right behind me. Its symbol, a promise of something I can't escape. Keep moving. You have to survive. I coast to a stop. The car silent, the night deafening. The Ultima idles behind me, its headlights dimming, and the symbol fades, but its presence lingers a weight in my chest. I try the ignition, the engine clicking uselessly, and the radio crackles. One last time, the voice whispering, "Not yet." The shadow watches from the mirror, its head tilting, and I know this isn't the end. It's a pause, a moment, to catch my breath before the hunt resumes. The symbol glows faintly, a mark on my soul, and I wonder if I'll ever be free, or if this road, this car, this thing will claim me forever. Don't look back. Keep fighting. Have you ever run toward safety, only to feel the danger follow you inside? My name's Ariel, and I'm stumbling into a dimly lit gas station on a forgotten Alabama road. My legs trembling, my breath a ragged gasp as I flee the gray Nissan Altima that's been hunting me through the night. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting harsh shadows on the cracked linoleum floor, but the air is thick with the scent of motor oil and something fouler, rotting wood-damp earth that clings to my skin. The Ultima idles at the lot's edge, its headlights dim but watchful, the jagged symbol on its windshield fading, replaced by a carved wooden figure on its hood, small and twisted, its eyeless face turned toward me. I've seen that figure before, not in the world, but in a dream a week ago. Its presence, a weight that woke me screaming. Look at it, feel its pull. It's not done with you. I collapse against the counter, my hands shaking, my voice a broken whisper. Help me. There's a car. It's after me. The clerk, an older man with deep lines etched into his face, looks up from his magazine, his eyes narrowing as he takes in my disheveled state. He's on the phone before I finish, his voice steady as he calls the police. But I can't focus on his words. My gaze is locked on the window, on the Ultima, its presence a silent threat. The carved figure glows faintly, its wood grain shifting like living flesh, and I feel it a tug at my mind, a whisper that urges me to go back to surrender. The station is a relic, shelves lined with dusty snacks, the air heavy with the hum of the refrigerator, and the faint tang of gasoline. I press my back against the counter, my heart pounding, trying to anchor myself in the cold metal, the fluorescent glare. The Ultima's headlights flicker, then dim, and the car peels out, vanishing into the night. But the figure remains lying on the pavement where the car had been, its wood dark and wet, as if it bled. I step outside, my legs unsteady, and pick it up, the texture rough against my skin, the scent of rot overwhelming. Don't touch it. Throw it away. But I can't. I feel its pull, a command to keep it, to carry its weight. A week ago, I dreamed of that figure, its carved face hovering over me as I slept, its eyeless sockets glowing with the symbol's light. I was on a road, not unlike this one, the air thick with the scent of decay, and the figure whispered, "You're marked." I woke, drenched in sweat. My sheets tangled the symbol carved into my headboard, gone by morning, but etched into my mind. I told Isabel, her voice on the phone, soft but urgent. "Ariel, that sounds unnatural. Maybe you should see someone." I laughed it off, blaming stress, but the dream lingered a shadow I couldn't shake. It wasn't a dream. It was a warning. Now, in this gas station, the figure's presence feels like a continuation of that nightmare. The clerk hands me a bottle of water, his hand steady, and says, "You're safe now." But I'm not. I take the water, my fingers numb, and glance out the window again. The lot is empty, the Ultima gone, but the carved figure is there lying on the pavement where the car had been, its wood dark and wet as if it bled. I step outside, my legs unsteady, and pick it up, the texture rough against my skin, the scent of rot overwhelming. Don't touch it. Throw it away. But I can't. I feel its pull, a command to keep it, to carry its weight. The police arrive. 2 officers stepping out of a cruiser, their flashlights cutting through the night. I tell them everything. The Ultima, the symbol, the radio, the figure, my voice shaking, but determined. They write it down, their faces impassive, and one asks, "You sure it wasn't just a drunk driver?" I shake my head, pointing at the figure in my hand. This wasn't human. It left this. They exchange a glance, their skepticism palpable, and one takes the figure, bagging it as evidence. But I see the doubt in their eyes. "We'll look into it," the other says, handing me his card. "Call if you see it again." They don't see it. They never will. I refuel my car, my hands trembling. The pumps click, a hollow sound in the silence. I check the Corolla, the seats, the dashboard. Nothing but the air inside is wrong. heavy with that rotting scent. I start the engine, the sound jarring, and pull onto the road, the gas station's lights fading in my rearview mirror. But as I drive, I feel it, the figure's presence, a weight in my chest, a whisper in my mind. I glance at the passenger seat, and there it is, the carved figure, its eyeless face turned toward me, though I left it with the police. It's with you. It's always with you. I slam on the brakes, the car skidding to a stop, and stare at the figure. My heart a drum beat of terror. I throw it out the window, my hands shaking, but as I accelerate, it reappears its wood darker. Now, its surface slick with something that smells of decay. I scream, the sound raw in my throat, and swerve the road blurring as I fight to stay in control. The radio crackles, the voice returning, "You can't leave me," and the steering wheel jerks, pulling me toward the shoulder. I fight it, my arms burning my vision, tunneling, but the tug grows stronger, a force I can't resist. Keep driving. Don't let it win. The night presses in the trees, closing tighter, their branches like bars on a cage. The figure's glow intensifies its eyeless face, shifting, forming a mouth that moves silently. I feel it a pull at my thoughts, like fingers rifling through my memories, replacing them with its own. I bite my lip, tasting blood, and focus on the road, the white lines, the hum of the engine. But the lines twist, curling into the symbol's shape, and I swerve again, my heart a drumbeat of panic. 4 days before the taint, I found the figure in my mailbox, a small wooden carving, wrapped in black cloth, its scent of rot seeping through the paper. I dropped it, my hands shaking, and it rolled into the street, vanishing as a car passed. I told myself it was a prank, a sick joke. But the memory lingered, a piece of the puzzle I didn't see. Now, with the figure in my car, I know it was a marker, a sign that this hunt began long before the Ultima's headlights found me. It chose you. It's been choosing you. The police cruiser's lights fade in the distance, their disbelief a hollow comfort. I drive on the figure, watching its presence, a weight I can't shed. The radio hums a lullaby, now soothing yet deadly, and the symbol's light reflects off the windshield, a chain around my mind. I remember Isabel's warning, her hug at the cookout, and cling to it, a lifeline in the dark. But the figure laughs its voice in my head, and the road stretches endlessly, a trap I can't escape. The symbol's hand reaches closer, its fingers brushing my thoughts, and I feel myself slipping my identity, eroding under its touch. Don't give up. Find a way out. The trees loom larger, their branches forming a tunnel, the figure's glow reflecting off the bark. The radio chants my name. Ariel, Ariel. And the steering wheel jerks, pulling me toward the shoulder. I fight it, my arms burning my vision, tunneling, but the tug grows stronger, a force I can't resist. I glance at the figure, its eyeless face turning its mouth, moving silently. And I know this isn't just a chase. It's a possession, a claim on my soul. The gas light flickers. The engine sputters, and I realize I'm running out of time, out of strength, out of hope. Keep moving. You have to survive. I push the car harder, the engine gasping, the dashboard lights dimming. The figure's glow fills my car, its presence a void that sucks the air from my lungs. I scream again, swerving, and it vanishes from the seat, reappearing on the dashboard, its wood slick with something dark. The Ultima's headlights flash in my memory. The symbols pulse a heartbeat, and I know this figure is its messenger, a piece of the entity that hunts me. The road warps again, the void returning, and I feel my mind slipping my thoughts, fragmenting under its gaze. Don't look at it. Keep going. I coast to a stop, the car silent, the night deafening. The figure's glow fades, but its presence lingers a weight in my chest. I try the ignition, the engine clicking uselessly, and the radio crackles. One last time, the voice whispering, "Soon." The shadow watches from the mirror, its head tilting, and I know this isn't the end. It's a pause, a moment, to catch my breath before the hunt resumes. The figure's eyeless face stares a mark on my soul, and I wonder if I'll ever be free, or if this station, this car, this thing will claim me forever. Don't look back. Keep fighting. What's it like to wake each day knowing the nightmare didn't end, that it lives inside you? Now my name's Ariel, and I'm sitting in my Georgia apartment, the clock ticking toward midnight, the air heavy with a silence that feels alive. The TV hums with a news report about 2 men wanted for armed robbery and attempted murder in rural Alabama, their stolen gray Nissan Altima flashing on the screen, mud-caked and familiar. My heart stops, a cold weight settling in my chest. But it's not the relief of recognition. It's dread, a certainty that this isn't the whole truth. On my nightstand, the carved wooden figure sits, its eyeless face turned toward me, its wood slick with a dark sheen that smells of rotting earth, though I never brought it home. I've seen it before, not just on the Ultima's hood, but in a warning Isabel gave me days before the 4th of July, a plea I didn't heed. Look at it. Feel its claim. It's not letting go. The apartment is dim, the curtains drawn tight against the night, but the symbol's glow seeps through, etched into the walls, the furniture, my mind. The news anchor's voice drones on detailing the crimes. Robbery, assault, a trail of violence. But I know better. The Ultima wasn't just a car. The men weren't just criminals. Something else was there. Something that marked me on that Alabama road. Something that followed me home. The carved figure pulses faintly, its wood grain shifting, and I feel it a tug at my thoughts, a whisper that urges me to surrender, to let it take me fully. Don't resist. You're already mine. I turn off the TV, the silence crashing in, and stare at the figure, its eyeless face a void that pulls at my gaze. I try to remember how it got here, tracing the night back to the gas station where I escaped the Ultima. The police took it, bagged it as evidence, but here it is a mockery of their disbelief. I threw it out the window, watched it vanish into the lot, yet it reappeared, a parasite I can't expel. The air grows thick, the scent of rot overwhelming, and the symbol glows brighter, carved into the wall above my bed, where it first appeared weeks ago. It's in your home. It's in you. 5 days before the taint, Isabel called me, her voice trembling over the phone. We'd just planned the cookout, her excitement a bright contrast to the unease in her tone. Ariel. I had a dream last night, she said, her words halting. You were on a road, a car with glowing eyes chasing you, and there was this thing, a wooden figure, watching from the dark. It felt so real. I laughed, dismissing it as stress, but she pressed on. Be careful at the cookout. Something's coming for you. I promised to watch out, thinking it was her imagination, but her warning lingered a shadow I couldn't shake. She saw it too. Why didn't you listen? Now, with the figure in my room, Isabel's words feel like prophecy. The news report ends, the screen fading to black, but the Ultima's image burns in my mind, its symbol a chain around my thoughts. I check my car parked outside the windows, fogged with the night's chill. The symbol is there, scratched into the glass, glowing faintly, though I scrubbed it clean after the gas station. I run my fingers over it, expecting it to fade, but it's deep, permanent, like it's part of the car now. The air inside smells of rot, the seats damp with something I can't name, and I stumble back, my heart pounding. It's marked everything. It's marked you. I return to my apartment, locking the door, but the lock feels flimsy, a barrier against nothing. The figure's glow intensifies its wood, creaking as if breathing, and the symbol spreads, appearing on the ceiling. The floor, a web that traps me. I grab a knife from the kitchen, my hands shaking, and try to scrape it off the wall, but the blade skitters, the mark unyielding. The radio, silent for weeks, crackles to life, the voice returning. Ariel, you can't hide, and I scream, the sound echoing in the empty rooms. I unplug it, but the voice lingers, a hum in my skull, a command I can't ignore. Fight it, don't let it win. The night deepens, the clock ticking past midnight, and I feel the tug stronger. Now, a force pulling at my mind, my memories. I sit on the couch, the figure in my lap, its weight a burden I can't drop. I remember the road, the Ultima's headlights, the shadow in the passenger seat, and the figure's reappearance at the gas station. The police didn't believe me, their skepticism a hollow comfort. But I know the truth. This isn't human. The news calls it crime, but the symbol, the figure, the voice, they're something older, something that doesn't follow laws or logic. It's not them. It's something else. 4 nights before the cookout, I found a package on my doorstep. A small wooden box wrapped in black cloth, its scent of decay seeping through. Inside was a note, the word soon scrawled in jagged script, and a smaller version of the carved figure, its eyeless face staring. I threw it out, watched it burn in a trash can, but the next morning, the figure was back on my kitchen table, its wood darker, its presence heavier. I called Isabel, her voice shaking as she listened. "It's the dream," she said. "It's real." I denied it, laughed it off, but the figure stayed a shadow in my home. It was a sign. You should have run. Now, with the figure in my hands, I feel its pull, a command to keep it, to let it guide me. The symbol glows brighter, its lines twisting into a hand that reaches from the wall, fingers brushing my cheek. I drop the figure, my skin crawling, but it floats back, settling in my lap, its wood warm, alive. The radio hums a lullaby, now soothing, yet deadly, and the shadow appears standing by the window, its form stretching beyond the glass. I scream again, backing away, but the shadow doesn't move. Its eyeless face turned toward me. Its presence, a void that sucks the air from my lungs. Don't look at it. Get out. I grab my keys, my coat, and run to the door, but the lock jams the knob, burning hot under my hand. The symbol spreads, covering the door, a barrier I can't breach. The figure laughs its voice in my head, and the shadow steps closer, its form solidifying a silhouette of darkness that fills the room. I stumble to the couch, my mind reeling, and the radio chants my name. Ariel, Ariel, a rhythm that syncs with my pulse. The symbol's hand reaches again, its fingers sinking into my thoughts, and I feel my memories slipping. Isabel's laugh, the cookout, the the road all fading under its touch. Hold on. Remember who you are. I fight it, clinging to Isabel's. Warning, her hug, her voice. Be careful, she'd said, and I see her face, her eyes wide with fear, not for herself, but for me. The shadow tilts its head, its form wavering, and the figure's glow dims, as if my resistance weakens it. I grab a lamp, swinging it at the symbol on the wall, the glass shattering, but the mark remains unyielding. The radio cuts out the silence, crashing in, and the shadow fades, leaving only the figure, its eyeless face staring. You pushed it back. But for how long? The night stretches on the clock, frozen at midnight. And I sit the figure in my lap, its weight a chain. I check my phone. No signal, no escape. And the symbol glows faintly, a reminder of the road, the Ultima, the hunt. The news lied, the police failed, and Isabel's warning was true. This isn't over. The figure pulses its wood, creaking, and I feel it, a presence, not just in the room, but in me, a part of me now. I don't drive at night anymore. I don't trust the dark, but the symbol appears in my dreams. The shadow watches from the corners, and the figure waits, its eyeless face, a promise of something I can't escape. It's in you. It always will be.